Hey guys, so welcome back. Sorry that I have been, missing in action for a while. Life has just been crazy. The end of the school year, like April, May, gets insane at my house with like the 4 kids and all of the end of school things. My kids happen to be involved in things that are super, super busy at the end of the school year. Plus just all of the end of school year stuff. And it is kind of the start of my craft show festival season. So I've been doing a lot of things to get ready for those. And today is actually going to be kind of a small business festival vlog. So I did 2 festivals. So let me just put that footage on for you. Good morning. It is 6:15. I am getting ready to head out to the Mushroom Festival. Spent the night at my sister's house last night. It's my first event, 2025. So super excited, super nervous. My booth is double the size it was last year and looks totally different. Completely up leveled this year. So let's get going. Okay, so we're a little bit into the day and this is the first update. It was raining. It took me forever to set up, like almost 4 hours to set up my gigantic booth. And okay, so we started at 10. Right now it is 2:30 and it was just raining and raining and raining like nonstop. Now the sun is out and considering I'm doing pretty well. I've made several sales, but let me flip you around to show you what I've got going on. This is a jewelry wall. I've got my watch face earrings and these are necklaces made from parts of a watch. There's my little pendants made from the back of a watch. And then right here I have my watch bracelets. These are always like the big attention getter, really. So that, my sister. Some totes hanging back there. I got some more jewelry kind of out front because it can get lost in there. Display stuff for people walking past. So I always have one shelf out front. So I've got that. And then when you walk on the inside, I have a shelf with just mushroom gnomes and teacup gnomes. Another shelf with cups and straws. And then we move into the tables. I have my ornaments over here. I do like some pressed flowers and I do some 3D flowers. I also do some that are like large inside resin. And then I just have some kind of stuff for journaling. So some journal cards, like ephemera, some little 3-pack journals here. If you've watched any of my videos last year, you saw some of those. All right, and then this table I really like. So I have journals and bookmarks out on this table. I've already sold 2 journals, I think, today. So we have those. I put some little gothic-y cups kind of next to my gothic fairy girls. Here are these. And then I have some flower art behind there. You can see one of those already sold. I'm really proud of this, actually. It's not perfect, so I don't think I'll sell the bookends, but I think they're great for display. But I got some little books. I got these books at the Dollar Tree. So I have my like chain bookmarks like hanging out of there, obviously. And then the bookends holding that. And then some more flower art back here. Okay, so it is 4 o'clock and I have almost made my booth money back. That isn't totally amazing, but considering it was pouring down rain for hours today, it's not that bad. Okay, so 6 o'clock and I am $30 over my booth fee. So that's good. Now I need to make gas and my hotel. Okay, so hour and 20 minutes before This is over today. But we're all packing up because there's a hailstorm coming. So, we'll see. Never dealt with hail. I've had, a lot of rain, heavy wind, heat so bad people were passing out. Last summer, flash flood, but never hail. So, I'm gonna be nervous all night long. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Okay, so right now it is just after 8 o'clock. I'm rocking. Sorry. It's just after 8 o'clock in the hotel room. So funny thing is, it didn't hail. So we had to shut down early, lost like an hour and a half of sales. The time of the festival where the most people were going to be out because it is Friday. So, people got off work, what have you. So we missed out on that. So it's disappointing. It's very disappointing. But ratio wise, so I did this show last year and I had a single booth. And after the first day, which is Friday, I had just like barely squeaked out my booth and like I think my gas. Now today I am over my booth. I have not paid for my gas or my hotel, but my booth was $330. Last year was $150. So, and last year I ended up leaving with, I think it was like 14 or 1500. So, I mean, it's not amazing. It's not like this big, huge show, but it is a pretty like fun, easy show to kind of start the season off with. And it's a town really close to Kansas City and really close to one of my siblings. So it's kind of nice to come visit and then do a show. Anyway, so we will see. If the ratio holds, I should walk out, with close to 3,000, which, I mean, I would take, it's not, like I said, these days are not super long, not compared to what I'm used to anyway. I know some people who do festivals or craft shows or what have you, at least ones I have watched on social media, kind of think that like the 6-hour, 7-hour, 8-hour days are long. They're not. They're not. Like I'm a 10, 12, 14-hour day show kind of person. So this isn't that bad. Like tomorrow will be like 9 to 6. Like that's nothing. Yeah. Or no, it's 7. It's 7. So that's okay. It'll be tear down. I'm doing that by myself. It takes forever and ever and ever and ever. I am not the most organized person with like setup and tear down, so it takes me a little bit longer, I think, than a lot of people anyway. But this was my first time setting up that double booth, and it's some work. So yeah, it's gonna take a little bit getting used to. I have a show not tomorrow, Sunday. So this weekend is a double show weekend because I'm doing the Earth Day Festival in Columbia, Missouri. And that was supposed to take place last weekend, but it was rained out. So this is our rain date. So we'll see how that goes. And that's just a single booth, so that'll be pretty easy. And then I've got nothing going on until June. And June is every single weekend, back to back to back. And some of those shows are long. So that'll be fun. Anyway, I'm pretty tired. I think like getting wet and cold and everything else. So I am going to, I think, just like wash my makeup off. I'm gonna do a little yoga. I stand most of the day. And my body's like, you've not done this in months. So I need to do some yoga now. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna wash off my makeup, do some yoga, get in my comfy clothes, and I don't know, just chill out and watch some YouTube or something. Okay, so day 2. It's not raining, but it is dreadfully windy, like horribly windy. So we will see. I've already had to take down a couple displays. We'll see how it goes. Okay, so we are an hour in, or almost like 50 minutes in. I've had no sales yet today. Check this. So I had a grid up there displaying some tote bags yesterday. I had to take it down because this side of my tent is super windy, because on this half of my booth there's no building or anything behind it, and then over here, like on this side, fortunately, where I have my flower art, there is a building. So on this side where I had the totes, the wind is it's just nonstop coming in and rubbing a hole in the sidewall. The grid was. So took that down. Now I'm still just dealing with this flapping sidewall. So today is not starting out completely amazing. And check that out. Pair of earrings stolen. Fabulous. It's probably when I had to go behind the booth to fix some stuff or put my grid wall back there. So I had to take down my ornament tree that fell to the ground. The star got all bent. I'm gonna try to keep a positive attitude, but I'm telling you now, it's not easy. The day's starting out this way, and we've got to go until 7 p.m. So it's gonna be a long day if this keeps it up. Okay, just after 10 a.m. and got our first sale. Foot traffic's picked up some after the parade. Okay, it's 11:45, so 2 hours, 45 minutes in, and I've only got 4 sales, so, you know, we still have a long way to go, so we'll see how we end the day. Okay, so I still have sales kind of, I wouldn't say trickling in, but I wouldn't say totally steady, so it's kind of somewhere in between there, but I'm selling like these new style necklaces I have, so that is very exciting to me. I've sold some earrings today, but it is exciting to me that like a brand new product is selling pretty well. So that's very exciting. Also, my little adjustable rings have been pretty popular, so it's interesting. Also, journals. I've been sold more journals today. And gosh, I can't remember if I mentioned this in a previous clip or not. They don't always sell super fast, but I have them displayed completely different than I used to, so maybe that's why. Okay, so we are getting close to the end. I don't know if it's been worth it. I guess I'll back you up a little bit. I guess I'll find out like when I get home. So the weather has been not our friend at all. So I've had a lot of good comments. Lots of people have come in saying, you know, it's like their favorite booth. They just liked being in here, like a bunch of stuff. So that's good. I sold even more journals, which again blows my mind, and I firmly believe it is the change in my display. 100% believe that. So I am really looking forward to the shows I have for the rest of the year. I have worked really hard at changing the display, the way I display my items inside my booth. Yeah, so we will see how this next hour, what time it is right now. I guess it's about an hour, hour and a half left. So fingers crossed. All right, so good morning. It is now Sunday. It is about 7:40, and I'm off to my second show of the weekend. My the backup date for Earth Day Festival, the rain date, is today. So last weekend we were totally rained out. So as you can tell, we've had a lot of rain, a lot. You know, all that rain Friday, and it's looking like a perfect day, and that would be nice. I need a perfect day. Last year we had so many horrible weather days, and then starting out in Richmond with the rain and then the wind, it's just give me a good day. So I got in super late last night. It was about 1 o'clock. So I'm not gonna go. I didn't go over the numbers there. Tonight we end at 7. I'll probably not go over the numbers then. So I'll get everything together. We'll go over the numbers. I'll probably film that or record that on Monday, and then get this video out sometime soon. So yes, for now, like I said, my husband's up. He's getting us some McDonald's breakfast really quick, and then we're gonna head off to set up, and I'll show you the booth once we get that done. All right, so I'll set up at Earth Day, and yeah, I'm a little bit early, so I'm out hunting for coffee. I know there's coffee downtown, but I forget what street it's on. Okay, 10 by 10 setup, cute little sign, watches out front, got some journals and gnomes in here. I was only able to use 2 shelves today, so just kind of mixed up the cups and gnomes. Okay. Checkout right here, me right there. Okay. My flower art is all back here. Got some totes, you know, both of these kind of at the impulse point, and the rest of my jewelry hanging right there. It's pretty spacious in here, so yeah, people shouldn't feel too uncomfortable. Okay, so it is 11:30. Things get started at noon, and I've made 1 sale. Okay, so super quick update. I have no idea how many sales I have. It has been absolutely insane, which is amazing. So we'll see how the rest of the day goes. Okay, so it is actually like a week and a half-ish after Earth Day, and I didn't get a lot filmed because my booth was crazy busy. This was like a 6.5 hour event, and for me it was almost nonstop. I had a couple breaks where, you know, you saw I got to like do like a tiny bit of filming, but that was it. At one point my husband was in the booth visiting me. You know, he would pop in, give me a bathroom break, whatever. And the outside of the booth was jam-packed. The inside of the booth ended up getting so full that he got like shoved back into a corner, and people were like waiting outside the booth to get in. So it was a fantastic event, and I'm sorry I didn't get more footage. But let's go ahead and start as far as kind of a recap. Let's go ahead and start with the Mushroom Festival in Richmond, Missouri, which did take place May 3rd through the 4th. It was not good. It was not good at all. I mean, you guys saw the weather. If the weather had been better, I would have probably done very, very well because, oh, I just got water on my face. Okay. Because the number of people passing by the booth that actually stopped into the booth, obviously, you know, I didn't get a perfect percentage on this, but it definitely seemed to be higher than like what should have, based on what typically happens in retail establishments. And of the people that came into the booth, a higher percentage than normal purchased an item. And this was verified not just by me, but by one of my sisters was there, who's like an MBA, you know, businessy person. So there was that. So let's get into the numbers. My gross sales for that event ended up only being $1,142. So that is not great considering it's a 2-day event. Not amazing. And my expenses, let's talk about that. My booth rent was $330, and that included the extra $30 was for electricity that I ended up not being able to use. So, whatever reason. I paid, so for hotspot. So I do pay for a hotspot. I use Straight Talk, and it works perfectly. So I don't pay every single month. It's not a plan like that. So I just pay for the months that I need it. And so for May, I paid $25. And I just kind of divide that cost out by each festival that I'm doing. And so I'm doing 3 in May. So I already did 2, and I have 1 coming up this weekend. So that's approximately $8.50 for the hotspot for that event. Food, it was just me. So I spent $50 in food while I was gone over those 2 days. Gas was $65. My hotel was $108.61. So small town, cheap hotel. And then I do calculate packaging cost, which is not 100% because I have 3 different size bags. Obviously, the larger the bag, the more expensive it is. So I kind of do an average of the cost of my bags. And then multiple people, whenever they're purchasing my jewelry, wear it out of my booth. So I don't have an accurate count. So this is definitely more than what it actually is, but by my estimate is $17.92. So my total expense ended up being $580.03. That's very, very high for a small event. I do, you know, like I said, the weather, not amazing. So, you know, compared to my gross sales, that was like 50%, a little over my gross sales. So I did still make a profit. It was like this big, but I didn't lose any money. It certainly was not worth all the hours I spent doing it at all. I mean, just setting up was 4 hours by myself. It was 4 hours. I'm not the most organized person though when it comes to that. So, I mean, that could definitely improve. I will say that I'm still glad I did it. I don't know if I'm going to do it next year, but I'm still glad I did it because I got to kind of test out my new display. I got to test out having a larger space in kind of a rural area. So I do much better in like metropolitan areas, like larger population centers. I do much better. Obviously, like there are more people there, but it also seems like more people in rural areas like to do things themselves. So there's that. So you typically get a lot more like, oh, I can make that, I can do this, I can do that. And it's like, yeah, most of us could make like everything here if we, you know, learn how to do it. So anyhow, I got to test that out. I feel like the display looked really good. I have a couple things that I'm going to change, and they're not going to be different for the event I have this Saturday, but it will be for June. And I am adding another wall like behind where I sit that's going to be that big trellis wall. And that's so I can fit more flower art back there, which I will need going into June, because June is going to be insane. Yeah, but even without that, I feel like the booth looked great. The best display I've ever had. I have definitely like up-leveled my game as far as that goes. I feel like everything looks a lot more professional, and I think that people recognized that. So there were a few things that took place. One, I sold several journals. I don't normally sell that many journals. So let me pause and give you my top 3 items here. So the top 3 items are glass cups, like the little glass tumblers. I had shirts that were on clearance. That was my second highest item. And then tied were my watch, bracelets, and journals. So going back to the journals. Journals are typically my slowest selling item, that along with bookmarks. So I had them displayed in the past, like in a magazine rack. People would come, look at them, and move on. Except in certain places, like here in Columbia, journals would sell like crazy. No matter how they're displayed, they would sell like crazy. But other areas, not so much, especially not in rural areas. I would maybe sell one per show, maybe one. In fact, one of my craft show friends came into my booth and she was like, I didn't know you sold journals. And I'm like, how long have you been, how many shows have we been next to each other? We request to be next to each other and you didn't even know? Like, that's how overlooked those items were in the way I used to have my booth displayed. So the way I have it now, definitely better. I sold eight journals, and the show was slow. The weather was terrible. This was a rural area, so every single thing was going against me for selling my least purchased item. But that didn't happen. So now I'm like, I'm gonna have to make more journals, because during the winter, I made what I thought I would need for most of the year. Apparently this is not gonna be the case if other shows go the way Richmond went. So there's that. Also, my bookmarks. I sold more bookmarks than normal. I don't have any sitting out here. Well, you saw them. Like the chain bookmarks, made with like a necklace chain and charms on both ends. In the past, every time I have ever taken them, people would look at them and they would ask me what they are, or they would assume that they were bracelets, and I would have to be like, no, I'm sorry, they're not a bracelet. This event, that was not the case. They knew exactly what they were. I had no one ask. Not one person asked me what they were, and so I know that I have those displayed correctly. I'm going to try to improve the display for those, but yeah, I have them displayed in a way that people know what they are and they see them. They're not overlooked. So that's good. There was another thing. Oh, the price scuffing. So if you've ever done a craft show, a festival, a fair, anything like that, and you've brought handmade items, or maybe, even if you're a retail seller, people come into the booth and they look around and they say, ugh, that's too expensive, ugh. Or they just, ugh, and put it back down, okay? That didn't happen one time. Not one time did that happen looking at any item. And typically my most scuffed at item are the journals. I have those priced, like, I know that most likely they're like at the tippity top of what people are willing to pay for. It's a covered composition book, but they are super cute. I put them together very, very well. I used to be really, really humble about those things. I'm not. I know that they are good. So, and they take forever and 5 days to make. So they have to be priced a little bit higher than what people maybe think they should be. If I were to sell them on Etsy, I could probably price them higher, but not necessarily in person. So there was no price scuffing at any item. And so that tells me probably two things. One, there are people that show up at events and they're looking for like the cheapest priced items. You know, they are there searching for garage sale prices. They're there searching for flea market prices, you know, those types of things. And for most part, they're probably in the wrong place, but there are booths that are like that. And, you know, there's nothing wrong with people searching for those items and those prices. That's just not me. They're not my customers. So the way I had my booth displayed in the past, obviously still brought those people into my booth. And now they're not necessarily showing up, or they're just not saying anything about the pricing. So I think that is good. It's not wasting my time. It's not wasting their time. Or, you know, they can just come in and enjoy looking at something. I do that a lot whenever I go to shows. So there's that. And I also think that the way the booth is displayed is attracting my target customer. So very happy about not having to deal with the, why is this so expensive? Blah, 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 blah. Really happy about not dealing with that. Okay, so moving on to Earth Day. Let's do the numbers. I already told you Earth Day was great. It was 6.5 hours, okay? One day, 6.5 hours. My gross sales were $1,421. Okay, and expenses were amazing for me because, you know, it was in my hometown. So I just drive to downtown and drive home. So booth rent there was also very inexpensive. It's only $55. Hotspot, $8.50. I did spend $20 in food between getting myself and my husband a coffee, and then late in the day toward the end, my husband showed up and I went and bought some nachos. But anyway, there was that. Packaging, my estimate was $26.88. That is really far off because most of these girls wore their item out. But, you know, again, I like to at least estimate that cost because it's a real cost. And I don't know, most of my like vendor friends, I don't think they calculate that cost, and I never did before. It's a little bit more than you think it is. So total expense was $110.38. Again, I'm not going to give the profit of that because, you know, that does not include my cost of material. But let's just say the profit was really good. So, and then the top selling items, and I am so happy about this, and then I'll tell you why, were the watch band bracelets, like far and away. Like I have to make so many flipping, so many more. It's unbelievable. So those, my watch rings, my ring light just fell. It didn't make much of a difference anyway. Okay, so my watch rings, I don't have any for the mushroom gnomes, and I had a single booth. So that was the other thing. I had one booth. In Richmond, I had two. So I had limited. Okay, so editing, and realized I didn't tell you guys why I am happy that I didn't sell very many of my glass cups, glass tumblers, whatever you want to call them, at Earth Day. So I only sold 4. Typically at a lot of events, they have been my #1 seller. Earth Day is a slightly different type of event. Most of the people there are looking for like artisan, real handmade kind of items. So I only sold 4 cups. I'm happy about this because I take the cups with me to events as like a safeguard. Okay, my cups are, I feel like, a little bit different than other cups I see because they're all colorful, and some of the designs I have made, you know, or had sent to a manufacturer. I don't have a UV printer, so I send them off to have the transfer created, and then I, you know, put it on the cup. So I mean, there is some of those items are sort of individual to me. Okay. That being said, okay, I will always take them to like fairs and festivals, things like that, because there are always people that want those items. And at some of those events, those will always be my top seller. They just always will. I have a friend who is in the same situation. You know, we would both like to have some of our other more creative items be our top sellers. And that's not always the case. So she makes tumblers as her safeguard item. Anyway, it has been getting to the point over the last year that the watch band bracelets, they have beat the cups a few times and have come like even with them at most of the shows last year. So there's that. At this event, boom, far and away, so much difference between the cups and the watches. So I'm really happy about this because my creative items, the items that I thought up on my own, are selling more than something you see in several booths when you go to an event. So that makes me very, very pleased. It also gives me confidence to apply to more events that don't allow things like tumblers and then the glass cups, things like that. So the events that would only allow like the jewelry, the flower art, like the teacup gnomes, or even just the jewelry and flower art. So I now have that confidence. And so that's why I am really happy that the cups were way down on my most sold item list. Items that I brought to Earth Day. So Earth Day, I brought all of my jewelry. I brought 2 shelves, and I had the glass cups, teacup gnomes and mushroom gnomes on the shelves. I had flower art on the wall behind me, some tote bags, and then like the little impulse point keychains. So I had that. I did sell tote bags there. So that was amazing, my little Zodiac totes. So that was amazing. That gives me an indication for kind of what the bigger events are going to be like. And I have a lot of big events in June. I'm basically living in Kansas City. Well, twice I'm in Kansas City in June, and then I go back to Kansas City twice in the fall. So hanging out in Kansas City this year. Yeah, so it kind of lets me know what those sales are probably going to be like in those larger areas. So really happy about that. And I have a double booth in Lee's Summit, Missouri, which is my first like Kansas City Metro event. So we shall see. That will actually be my first test in a really large population center. So because Columbia is kind of small, we're like over 100,000. We explode by like 30 to 40 with the university. But yeah, those were my first 2 events of the year. I'm gonna stop talking about all this right now. This video is starting to get a little bit long, so I appreciate you guys hanging out. I know this isn't the type of video most of you are here for, but a small business is part of my life, and it is becoming part of our financial world. So I'm gonna make some more. So if you don't like those, then you don't have to watch them. Anyway, yeah, so I need to get to work. I've got a lot of stuff to make for this weekend. Yeah, and I will try to film that and put out a small video for you guys for that festival as well. But anyway, thank you guys so much for stopping. I truly appreciate you, especially those of you who have been with me forever and all of my ups and downs and changes and all the things. So thank you guys so much, and I will see you next time.